Hello, hello, hello. We are back to our roots. We got some airplane news. It's budget airplane news, so you know it's going to be good. So Frontier Airlines passenger forces entire flight to deboard after refusing to comply with exit row instructions. So hey, we've got a video here. Let's just go right into it. So they're just telling her this is standard stuff. Just saying, hey, here's how the exit row works. That Travel with Tia got the exclusive scoop on this. Oh wow, I just realized this is like a 5-minute video, so let's, we got the gist of it. She's not wanting to be responsible for the exit row, so it escalates. I'm just gonna keep skipping ahead, we don't need to watch the whole thing here. Escalates further, now we got the pilot involved. She's like, it's just an exit row. Please let us take off. Okay, hang on. Escalates even further, now we've got the police. Because she couldn't follow instructions. It's just the exit row. They're not telling her to inflate the raft and slide down. They had to call the police. That's wild. Alright. Oh. So, as the story says, because she wouldn't follow instructions, they had to get everybody off the plane. I'm sure she was quite popular off the plane. Well, it wasn't like she was having a public freak out or anything. She just didn't want to handle the exit row stuff. And that led to her getting arrested. That is wild. And and now it's all over the internet, so congratulations. Get a little more detail here. Don't know what her issue was. So the passenger forced an entire flight to deboard after she refused to comply with exit row instructions. So the video was posted to TikTok by Travel with Tia, as we saw on the screen. And they show the woman visibly angry with airline employees as fellow passengers pleaded with her to get off the plane. And she continued to insist she wouldn't leave. It was eventually escorted off by the police officers at the Charlotte airport in North Carolina. And as she was removed, all passengers on board had to deboard while she was taken away. Anyways, for passengers seated in an exit row, the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, requires that they read instructions and verbally comply with the physical duties of assisting others in case of emergency. I've had that happen before, not recently, but you know, they're just like, hey, can you do this? And it's just like a yes or no question, I believe. And you say yes because you want to freaking take off. So she did not want to comply. And so, you know, we didn't play the whole thing, but the TikToker explains this. This lady right here, when she first got on the plane, and acknowledged the exit row, she said, oh, I'm not going to save anybody. If something happens, I'm going to save myself. It's like, okay, but don't say that. And that was her attitude throughout the seating process, and I already knew something was about to pop off when she had that attitude. And as we saw, the video of the dramatic incident shows the woman with glasses, you know, she starts to argue and, you know, be combative with the flight attendant. And so she got combative, and so when she placed her drink on the floor of the plane, the flight attendant says, if this is going to be a problem, and the woman interrupts her, a problem, what's the problem? As the flight attendant explains what is expected of them in the exit row. She says, we ain't got no problem with that. We understand we got to help people off the plane and help Betty White if something happens. The passenger replies and points towards the other flight attendant. That's not very nice. And passengers were heard laughing in the background as the woman repeats, what's the problem? We agreed. And the flight attendant walks away as the passenger continues, you're wasting your breath. Is they going to take this plane off the ground? And the female passenger then sets her phone on the ground and mumbles, get out of my damn face, as she picks up a snack and turns toward the other flight attendant. Did you ask her to agree? You ain't doing your job, the passenger says as the employee places her hand in front of the passenger's face. Gosh, you better get out of my face is what you need to do, Betty, the passenger says. She opens up her snack. So, you know, that's, as we saw, that was her being combative in the video. So that's when it escalates. The airline employee tries to talk to the upset woman and says, they said you were not listening. Passenger cuts her off, says that lady came and asked us. We got witnesses. We all agreed. Then the employee waves over a flight attendant. The passenger adds, yeah, because we all agreed. Everybody can witness that. And says, my grandson is getting off out of school and his mama took a flight to Mexico and I'm not getting off this plane. The passenger continues before, as we saw, the captain makes an announcement over the speaker, and at that point she raises her voice at the employee and says, no, that is no, my grandson is 4 years old and he's getting out of school. Yeah. The employee makes her way to the front of the plane as the angry woman continues to fight and remains in her seat. I feel like I could have just played the video rather than read the play-by-play here. So we saw most of it in the video. The gist of it is she was combative. didn't say yes, but then said she said yes, and went back and forth, but her demeanor did not help her. It gets to the point, I believe this is the pilot, and they went back and forth. The pilot finally announced, hey, we all have to deboard the plane while law enforcement shows up. And she becomes even more agitated, and she's like, I gotta get it to my grandson's school. And then they're like, well, we got to step outside the aircraft to talk about it. And so she refused to get off the plane, threatened to call her attorney. That's when we see the pilot make his way back and tries to talk to her. And we saw how that went. And it got to the point the pilot said, you're inconveniencing everybody else. And the other passengers want to leave. And everything starts to get rowdy, as we saw. And goes back and forth. She's basically being told she has to book another flight. And it gets to the point that she gets arrested, as we saw. That stinks. So as in the end, the final clip shows frustrated passengers make their way back inside the airport as the woman is seen exiting the plane in handcuffs, escorted by multiple officers. So it's unclear if the passengers got back on the flight and made it to their destination. I would assume so. There's another high profile one. I can't remember. Some celebrity wouldn't buckle his seatbelt, I think. Maybe a football player. I can't remember. And he kept saying no. And they got to the point where they're like, all right, well, everybody's got to deboard and you have to be escorted off. So the entire plane had to leave so he could get escorted off. And then they were able to come back on. Can't remember who that was, but he was being a dick about it.